the president's action or his tone with regards to the Director of Public Prosecutions has also received its own deal of criticism. And some people feel that the president was vindictive towards the Director of Public Prosecutions. There's complaints, quite all right, but they feel that the Director of Public Prosecutions has been thrown under the bus. And this is an expression that's been extensively used by some members of the public. Do you think that the president could have toned down a little bit on the issue relating to the Director of Public Prosecutions and to some extent avoid the embarrassment that has been talked about by Mr. Ngambi?
Well, thank you very much for that question. And again, here I must make it very clear and categorical that we are dealing with a new government that has unprecedentedly been so criticized than any other new government in the history of this country. 4 months of a UPND budget, 7 months of UPND in government. The level of criticism is as though UPND is remaining with 7 months before it completes its second term. And this is understandable. The level of citizens' participation is high and has been heightened also because of technological advancements where people are able to interact and share information. And in the process, we also have detractors, people who are able to share information which is untrue. And so we have a president who and an administration that has been on trial for the last few days, for the last few weeks, where the political and leadership credentials of this particular president and his administration were, questionable on social media. The social court of justice had put this president on trial, and therefore it was time to come out in the open, because doomsayers were celebrating to say the fight against corruption, one of the flagship carriers of UPND promises during the elections, has collapsed, and therefore to begin to effectively indicate the collapse of this administration, the fight against corruption has collapsed. That is what some people wanted to celebrate. And therefore, if the president did not come out clear and categorical on this particular issue, it would have left some room for doubt, should have left some room for speculation, and therefore to avoid any such kind of vacuum. The president was categorical, and remember that he was not categorical about an individual here. He was categorical about the office, the role that that office is supposed to play, the mandate and authority that is clothed of it by the Constitution. Did it provide for what actually eventually became what was, transacted? That is what the president was talking about, and he hinged his submission on the law, that as far as he was concerned, he knows no law that under the circumstances provide for immunity for an individual who is a subject of investigations, or is it judicial proceedings, to have immunity in the manner that such immunity was actually contracted. That is what the issue is. We are also we are aware, I'm sure you colleagues, the journalists, are well informed that a person who is the subject of investigations, or indeed the court process, but has offered himself to be a state witness on account of his culpability, is able to be turned into a state witness. And the circumstances are clear, maybe, perhaps not as these that it actually turned out to be. But because this matter is in court, again, I'm constrained to go into detail debating the same. Suffice to state that the president had an obligation to come out crystal clear to the electorates, to cast all shadow of doubt around this particular case, because it was not just this particular case of KCM Milingo. It was about the public confidence. Has this government begun to cut deals, behind closed doors with the people, that the citizens who voted for change expect to account for their actions while they held public office. That is what the president needed to clear in no uncertain terms. He